my second question is going to kind of continue with this trend of, your passions, what you do outside of work. So, you do show that you have a lot of passion to inspire, the other women out there to get involved in the paper industry. That is a passion of yours. So, with that being said, what can industry management do, in future years to promote the growth of women in the paper and allied industries?
So I really liked this question because you see a lot of company initiatives now striving to hit these goals for diversity and inclusion, not just for women, but other minorities as well. And I find it interesting because I truly believe it doesn't start with university. It starts with elementary school, in the houses, and in high school to get the information that women and others need to know that they're capable of doing jobs in STEM. I know some girls who go into elementary schools and teach math classes or do demonstrations, and with COVID, obviously that's not happening. But marketing paper as the benefits that I saw when I was in high school, and I'll admit it, I really did not want to go into paper, only because my parents were so set on me doing it because I could live at home and go to a state school. But, getting into it and getting into my first class of, it was the art and early history of paper making, and just finding out the history of it and the art, like truly the art and history of making paper and how it's engineered, and getting that into schools, I think is really important because the paper industry has so many benefits, and which is why I chose it, right? And your career path when you get out of school, but as well as the industry as a whole, I think understanding that and the myths that come with it and making sure we're all vocal. I think the word of mouth nowadays is very helpful too because of how fast social media and things can spread. But making sure you stay standing with understanding that, paper is wanting to continue to be environmental and sustainable and finding ways to innovate that every day. So, really going back to leaders in the industry, I think it does start at a lower level than just in universities and high schools.
Yeah, I think, Marcina, again, capturing something from your statements here, you're so moldable when you're young. Let's think of when you're in high school and middle school, when you think of your favorite song in adulthood, where does it fall? Most likely somewhere in that area. I'll be honest, I'm a Linkin Park guy. Yeah, I know they went out of style in the early 2000s and maybe late 2000s. I'll give them that, but let's be honest, not something that's recent, but something that really stuck with me when I was a teen and, even early in the middle school area. So I do like that you mentioned that once they've gotten to college, they've kind of set their minds on what they really want to do, but getting them earlier, showing them what they could be potentially able to do in the future, I think is, something that I would always recommend to companies and, maybe put an emphasis if you're, in industry leader right now, potentially put an emphasis on, getting your employees, especially, your women engineers out there, send them to schools and, just talk to a class, be like, hey, here's some career options that you might not be considering. I think is an absolutely great way to, kind of increase involvement in the paper industry for years to come.
Yeah. I always think back to when we were younger. Obviously, Barbie has changed. Right now you can get, a scientist Barbie, you can get an engineer. But back then, Barbies and everything, that it used to be math is hard. And most women you'd find on TV shows saying math is hard. But then I was like, well, I love math. and having my parents, my family, and then even teachers, female teachers encouraging math and science is huge.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the what we want to take away from this is paper industry leaders invest in the future.